All right. Hopefully, we can have some folks here, and we're hosting a fly tying Q&A question from one of our viewers who had asked a question about some fly tying equipment. And so we'll just hold for a little bit while folks join. And what we'll be mainly talking about is um, maybe some suggested things if you want to get started fly tying. So while we're waiting for folks to join, we'll just show you what we have right now. This is one of them. This is the Peak fly tying vise. This is the one that we mainly do most of our fly tying with. This is the second fly tying vise we used as a clamp. And then this is the third one we used way back when, right here. And actually, our first one was a cheap one that we picked up from Bass Pro Shops about 30 years ago for $9.99, I think it was. Jake Andrews, how are you doing? Thanks, Jake. How you doing? Appreciate the joining. What we're doing is there was a question from one of our readers, or from one of our viewers. Let me check who it is real quick. And it was asking about a starter kit for fly tying. And what we wanted to do was maybe answer some of those questions. So if you're there, I think we'll just kind of play it by ear. The question is a starter fly tying kit. And so what we found is best is to either you can pick one up at Cabelas. We just were there about maybe 5-10 minutes ago, and it was for about $29.99. You get I think it was one of these kind of vices with a little clamp, and then it came with some fly tying tools. So for $30, you can get started. Oh, hi, John. Thanks for joining. I think you had a question concerning the starter fly tying kit, and what I wanted to say is we did stop by Cabelas and we found one that goes for $29.99. It comes with I think it was one of these vices that comes with a clamp and sort of looks like this, and then it also had some fly tying tools. It looked like a hackle plier, a bobbin, and then it looked like it had some, I think it was a threader or whatnot. But depending on how you want to get started, our main point that we notice when folks are getting started in fly tying is they tend to either go really cheap or go really expensive. And then next thing you know, they get sidetracked and that equipment sits for years, and then later on you pick it up again. That's sort of what happened to us. Our first fly tying vise was a cheap one that we picked up from Bass Pro Shops, about $10, and we used it on and off and then kind of put it away. So to do things over again, we'd probably go with one of these. That $29.99 one that they have at Cabelas with some tools. If you wanted to just pick up something for the vise and just pick up things separately, I think at a minimum, what you'd want to have is a good pair of scissors, the Hackle Pliers, and then we like a whip finishing tool. This is a nice to have. You don't have to have it, but you definitely do have to have a bobbin for your thread. Another nice to have, actually, I think it's a must have, especially since the eyes here are getting old, is a Bobbin Threader. So it's a little piece of wire that fits through the bobbin, and then you can thread it fairly quickly. And so I would say those are the at a minimum what you want for tools available when you're fly tying. And then depending on what you're going to tie, a lot of times you can buy a bunch of a kit and it'll have a bunch of different fly tying material. What I found works well is look at the particular fly that you want to start fishing with, or mostly fish with. Learn how to tie that pattern, and then just get that material for that pattern, and you'll find yourself using that fly a lot, as well as when you do lose one, you don't feel the pain of having to buy that fishing fly at the full price. Olive woolly bugger, that's a classic one to use that works really well in our area. There's the olive near deer that's similar to the woolly bugger. Very simple ties. I think it's actually simpler than the olive woolly bugger. And then Clouser minnows. Those are also really easy to tie. And then that Denison Dam dauber that we're tying. That one just requires 2 marabou plumes, some pearl chenille, and then a dumbbell set of eyes. And other than that, you tie it and get it all in place. So I'm hoping that's answering your question, John. Did that answer what you're looking for, or is some more detail? Do you want to see some of the stuff that we have on hand here? Let's see. Here's the one that similar to the one at Cabelas. This is another one that we had picked up. And this one, it technically is a rotary vise. It actually can be adjusted so it comes at an angle, and then we got the pedestal base instead of the C-clamp. And then we got this arm here to help us hold the thread while we're tying it. We mainly use this one now for tube flies. So we bought this attachment here, and we put a tube, and we tie our tube flies with this. So a lot of the poppers, as well as tube fishing flies that we use, where the hook actually is tied directly to your line, and the tube fly kind of moves up and down the line and stays away from the fish's mouth, and you fight it without even having to worry about that fly getting in the way. And so any particular fish that you're trying to fish for? In our case, that woolly bugger has been a really good one for bass, as well as bluegill in different sizes, size 14, size 16, 18. What we also find is when we fish the Blue River up in Oklahoma, the smaller size olive woolly bugger is pretty tough to find at times. So we've stopped at Cabelas and tried picking up some way back when. Size 14s and 16s, they're sometimes sold out. And so it's been fortunate we're able to tie our own fishing fly and have that available in the size that we want. So with that, any questions? If you have any questions, just put in the comments. Hopefully I can answer them. And if not, we'll wait for any replies and whatnot. Let me go and grab some of the stuff we just picked up about 30 minutes ago at Cabelas to explain that Denison Dam dauber. Okay. John answered my question. I really want to catch some stripers. I have 2 fly setups, and I went Monday afternoon and caught some perch and bluegill on my small setup. Okay. All right. When you say 2 fly setups, is that the fly rod size 5 weight, 6 weight, 8 weight, or are you talking the fishing fly? What we found fishing fly wise that works well for the stripers when they're not generating and you're working before they start generating and working those pools is at least what we were using this past weekend. A size 2, size 4 seemed to get really consistent hookups, but small fish, and a size 2/0 and 1/0 in the bigger size were getting bit as well, but you weren't getting the consistent hookups because the fish were throwing the fly on us, either short striking and whatnot. 5/6 weight and a 10 weight rod with a 10 weight reel. Okay. 5/6 weight has worked for us as well as a 10 weight. Actually, no, we used a 10 weight, but more of a switch rod. From a fishing fly standpoint, what fishing fly were you using? What we used this past weekend, Clouser minnow. It's a lefty deceiver, but in a deer hair pattern, and then that the Denison Dam dauber. And let me go and grab that real quick here. I can see if I can grab those fishing flies. a minute. Almost got it. I'm online. Okay. Okay. So from a fish and fly standpoint, maybe better just to describe how we started out the day. We started out with a Denison Dam dauber in right here in a 1/0. Still got some of the line on here. This is the 4-inch version. The 2-inch was the one that actually got a nice one to take and bit and pretty much broke our line. White with a heavy dumbbell, more of the 5mm or 4.8mm size. And that one worked out well. Then we switched over to the, let's see, this is this lefty deceiver pattern. It's a lefty deceiver, but tied with a little hair, almost like a Clouser, but it rides hook down. It's kind of beat up. And this is a size 6 hook. And this one, about every cast, the fish were taking it. And it has a little peacock herald back with some flash. And then it's got this, not deer hair, but more of like that craft fur that we've tied in other fishing flies. And then it's got a eye that's been pretty much epoxied on there. It's been beat up. In fact, we've had to put the eyes back in several times, but it's been working really well for various fish. Let's see, a topwater frog and a topwater shad from Cabelas last weekend. Okay, not sure about the frog or the topwater shad. We did have one individual who was using some poppers, basically a foam head or balsa wood head and then deer hair. And that was pretty much all he was doing. And he was hooking up with some nice ones. Similar to that, we had picked up, and this one's kind of beat up. And this is from this past weekend. It's really beat up right here. These are some fishing flies that we picked up in Oklahoma over there at Lower Illinois River at Dave's Tackle, Bait and Tackle. And it actually rides this way. And all it is deer hair with a green, like almost like pipe cleaner chenille. And it's really thick and about a size 2/0, almost like a O'Shaughnessy bait hook like you use for catfishing. And what happens is it doesn't sink. It stays more on the top. It sinks slowly. And when we were using it the other day, we were kind of using it like a popper, just a fast retrieve, staying right at the top of the water. So we were getting hits there as well. Okay. And then what we noticed was we switched over to a blue and white Clouser right here. This one got beat up also, but they were hitting that one. And this one's in a size 1/0 hook. And we were getting some consistent hits as well. And then from there, went back to a purple and white Denison dauber. Again, the longer size one. So we were still getting hits, but not as good as that smaller size one that we were getting earlier. And then this one's another Clouser minnow, but it's tied with a chartreuse craft fur and then white, and it's really beat up as well. In fact, the dumbbell's kind of moved over here. And this one's in about a size 6 as well. And for those smaller ones, as you see in some of the videos that we did from this past weekend, these two, the lefty deceiver craft fur, as well as the Clouser minnow craft fur in the size 6, seem to get consistent hits. When we let them sink from a 12 count down to the bottom, and then we started retrieving, we started getting some larger ones. Another individual that was fishing near us was using poppers and was getting some larger ones as well. Let's see, you went there Monday afternoon. So I'm making the assumption that Monday afternoon they were generating. Hi, Lee. How's it going? So if they were generating, were you fishing on the shore on the Texas side or the Oklahoma side? And then with those poppers, what was the water like, or at least the water flow like? That kind of will make you adjust as to the bite. What we noticed is on the surface when they're generating, usually right when they start generating in the morning, bite seems to take well, and then in the evening that also works well. So we'll try poppers, but we'll typically, especially when they're generating, use a heavier fly just to get the fishing fly lower in the water column and get a chance to take a fish or two. Let's see, but we were at the old boat ramp, the point on the lake side of the dam. Oh, okay. So you weren't actually in the tail race section. You're actually over there by or on the lake itself, Lake Texoma. What we've noticed there, fishing that side of the lake, by the old boat ramp, that's kind of hit or miss. It's really based on surface activity. Mainly when we fish that area, we're in our kayak, so we're able to move back to where you indicated, as well as back to the boat ramp, the new boat ramp, and then up and down to the dam face. And then what we're mainly doing is we're trolling with these blue and white jigs with a fluke, and just kind of trailing behind us until we locate the fish. Additionally, when a school does strike, then we'll switch over to some slab and jig rigs, get the slab down below the school, and get the larger ones. I think what I heard last about Texoma was most of the fish, when you're fishing shore, was really right at sunrise, a little bit maybe after sunrise, as well as right before sunset was when the bite was taking in the main part of the lake. So I'm not sure if I'm giving you some good info there, but if we have to, or if we were stocking up our fly box, we would definitely have Clouser minnows, like the blue and white. And this one is in deer hair. Here's a better version of it. So I'd have Clouser minnows with a blue and white color scheme. Have a chartreuse and white one as well. This one's really beat up. Here's another one that may have a little bit more coloring, and it's beat up as well. But the good thing about Clouser minnows is it seems the more sparse the fly is, the striped bass still tend to hit it. So we'll keep fishing it until there's hardly anything left, and then at that point, if we still have it and didn't break off, we'll take it back home and add a little bit more to clean up the fly and get it back in use again. Let's see, and then so just to reiterate, Clouser minnow, blue white, chartreuse white, the lefty deceiver, our favorite being this craft fur one that we picked up from Green back in New Braunfels several years ago, with a nice looking eye and everything. So we call this the craft fur deceiver. And then that Denison Dam dauber, we're still tweaking this one. In fact, that's part of the giveaway that we're doing. We're going to retie it for the giveaway and put it in a size 4 hook, and tie it with a white, lighter dumbbell eyes, the pearl head right here, and then the marabou plume. And it will be a shorter one, just because we think that smaller size one is the one to have. All right. So I hope this helped you, and I hope it answered your question. When it comes to fly tying, it can get expensive on you, but if you focus on learning how to tie the material and get really good at a certain fly that you're always having to buy or purchase, and you're always using, you'll tend to, tie them at a cheaper price, and therefore you're more willing to be a little bit more aggressive in how you fish it. So you cast and you're willing to cast it under brush in the rocky, snaggy areas because you know you'll have another one that you can make and get ready. And then additionally, once you get really good at that particular pattern, you can expand on that pattern and see what other things you can tie some similar ones that you'll be fishing. So advice to those is maybe as a rule of thumb when you want to get started in fly tying is learn a pattern that you already are buying and a simple one that is effective. Again, a lot of folks will start out with the olive woolly bugger. We like that one as well as the olive near deer. Those are all pretty much tied similar. There's a Guadalupeana that is also tied similar. And then those Clouser minnows and lefty deceivers, those are also tied in a similar manner. And bottom line, you can always use that in your fly tying gear to also use it to tie some jigs when you're going to go conventional. So, all righty, I hope that folks found this helpful. Thanks for joining Jake, John, and Lee. Till then, if there's nothing else, we'll go ahead and end this live session. Any chance on meeting up with the next time you go? There may be an opportunity here in the month of August. I've got some weekend things that I got to do. Unfortunately, non-fishing, but I'm sure there's going to be some opportunity if you do see us out on the river, be it myself or with a fishing partner. Do a shout out and say hi. If you have any questions, we'll definitely answer them. And you can always locate yours truly because I'll typically have a hat on, the Stalker Trout fishing hat, as well as driving an old beat up Toyota Tacoma, green Tacoma pickup that has a interesting paint scheme. All right. So nothing else. Appreciate asking the question and always look forward to doing these live sessions for those that join us on our channel. All right. Till next time, we'll catch you later and good luck and good fishing.